Good evening, Theo Trade. This is Corey Rosenblumen. You're watching the Theo Nightly video for the 20th of October here in 2020. And what you're looking at is Netflix with earnings. So all these bars right here are just 1 minute chart on the after hours. Netflix did report earnings. We'll go through that today. Today's video will focus on a couple of main stocks reporting earnings and this on again, off again, and off again stimulus talks. Okay, so first off, we'll talk about Netflix, which is gapping to the downside. Right now, the market closed, or Netflix closed, at $5.25 per share. At the moment, you'll know more than I do, as the video was produced right at the close, but the market's just under 500, so that's down about $25, all the way under 490. What are these little things right here? Just volatility, just chop. And after-hour sessions do provide risk, and these are potentially actual fills, but don't think of those as movement. Netflix fell down, bounced up, and is stabilizing about the 495 level. Other stocks that reported earnings that are surprising right now is Snapchat. So we'll pull that into the chart right now. So Snapchat itself, it is uptrending, and it had its earnings play. It was about $28.50 at the moment I'm writing and doing the video. It's above 34 per share. So we'll take a look at these. Just keep these in mind. Snapchat with respect to it into the 34 per share, and Netflix gapping down. Other stocks, if y'all are just interested, are Lockheed Martin. That was earnings before the bell. Just going through these quickly, and this is just the days until earnings, showing what that little scan is. Days until earnings, and if it's 0, that means the earnings took place before the opening bell. And Procter & Gamble, just a couple of others here. Procter & Gamble had earnings and then kind of flat to the session here. Philip Morris, earnings and then a downtrend in today's session. There's Netflix. Now we're into these 0.5. What's a 0.5? 0.5 just means after the market closes. It's just how the indicator works. And also Texas Instruments, although that's not really a big play at the moment. Just for reference, tomorrow's Wednesday is going to be Abbott Laboratories, Biogen, Verizon. I always call this thermonuclear war, but it's Thermo Fisher Scientific, and NE, which is NextEra Energy. After the close tomorrow, we have Kinder Morgan. These are the stocks to watch and take note of. So back to the two at hand, they're jumping the most. Snapchat. This is a stock that is strong, getting stronger, and we'll go to the daily chart for Snapchat. We'll just jump that right back on. And remember, it's about 34. So Snapchat, even though it is still uptrending, had decent odds for a pullback. Little snap, rubber band snapback to the moving average, but that wasn't what happened. Instead, Snapchat we'll see it when we do, open up above these higher levels. And this is the earnings play. And now, how interesting is that? Snapchat reported the estimate was, in the bottom of the screen, they expected a loss of 17 cents. But the actual result was a penny. They got a penny. Earnings per share, a penny. And the stock's going to go straight up. We don't try to play the earnings game now, do we? On Netflix, remember, it's down to here at this 495 level. And for it, on the daily chart, same type of logic, but it's filling out the range. And this range plays down to about 475. So Netflix, if anything changes, will open up down to the 500 and under 500 per share. That's the main type of picture for the earnings. And again, tomorrow, just looking at these really quickly, Abbott Laboratories, and then Biogen, Verizon, Thermo Fisher, NextEra Energy, and then Kinder Morgan. These are names you can take a look at on your own chart or do the expected move plays, butterflies, or just avoid them until the earnings are behind us. If you're ever curious about earnings plays, you can take a look at the Analyze tab and type in the stock that you would like. That just happens to be Kinder Morgan. And this is the previous quarters of what the earnings were, the actual, which is the yellow, and the Wall Street forecast. So for example, you can tell that Kinder Morgan, for whatever reason, has a tendency to underperform the analyst estimate. You can take a look at the implied volatility, historical volatility, and the at-the-money straddle. And just Netflix quickly, because that's a popular stock. We do trade into Netflix. And what happened after the earnings? Just quick reference. Actually, Netflix has beat earnings the last 2 times. And the one we have here coming up, not quite printed at the moment, but we'll do that tomorrow. And again, if you're ever curious what's going on, take a look at the fundamentals of the stock. If you're really going beyond and above for a particular stock with earnings, you can see the fundamentals on it. And if you really want to go, right, there's some trade flash or Snapchat. And the news, we'll go to Netflix. And from that, Netflix, you can see exactly what happened. So we'll just jump that out to see this a little bit quicker. So these are the earnings if it's a stock that you have positions in or are about to position or need to close or adjust your positions. If earnings do play into your positions and decisions, this is how you take a look at it. It's the news widget or the news tab on the left side panel. You can take a look at the Snapchat, but the trade flash, not the snap flash, the trade flash, and take a look at the news. We won't go through that in today's video, but that's there for you if you are curious. The market, despite everything that happened today, it's still within the stimulus on, stimulus off. So kind of a quick little note, just looking at the market today. Did you know that despite all the volatility, if you're not an intraday trader, this didn't affect you as much, but those of you who are, this was a stimulus off, not going to happen. This was a stimulus on, going to make a deal. And this was a just kidding, stimulus off. And all that being said, all the stress, all the frustration, all the trades, up and down, we ended the day right where we started it, which was no stimulus. Yes, stimulus, no stimulus. And there is a self-imposed deadline in the House, at least, with respect to making a deal. And that, again, this video comes out after the close, but I'm going to lean on the cynicism side to say there will not be a deal. But if there is, the market will be juiced, bounced, lifted to the upside. So however you're trading, do understand that this is a risk that continues. Stimulus on, stimulus off. And then we have this thing called the election, which is in exactly 2 weeks. So that's the main play. On the bigger picture, on the daily chart, we are playing within profile levels, and that's making sense. We are within this higher time frame uptrend, and our critical spot, if you're curious about the next swing, is a departure trade. And that departure trade, just about, I think for easy reference, 3,400, but roughly 3,410 or 3,420. That was a buy spot for the dominant thesis in today's session, and that was met with resistance at the halfway point. So whether you are a bullish trader, you would expect support to hold here and the market to rally back above 3,500, maybe even make a new high. That's the bull case. Bullish above. But if you're bearish, it's a little cautious to be bearing up now. Let the market break under 3,400. I would say let the market break under 3,800. Then you can play or add to existing positions to the downside. On the NASDAQ, that was weaker today. And that's in part because the tech sector itself, this is our monsters of tech in Theo trade, and the XLK, it's in that same spot, which is the 20-day exponential. So that's the theme going forward. Earnings. Remember, we're going to have Netflix play to the downside unless there's a magical recovery. But right now, the market's gapping to the downside. And so the technology sector may be affected by that. Just keep in mind, Netflix is not a major market cap player. Even though we consider it a monster of tech, it is not the same market cap as the others and not even as big as Microsoft. So it will affect the tape, but not as much as if, say, Apple or Microsoft or something like that gapped much lower. But do keep your focus on those stocks. So we are bullish above here, but it's the famous edge of the cliff. So as we push through the rest of the week, final weeks within October, November begins, not too long from now, earnings are in focus, earnings are in play. Keep the positions there, keep risk off and safe. A little bit bullish lean of the market until we break under these support levels. That's true for the financial sector, which is having its own trouble. Energy and the others. These are the sectors we look at: staples, healthcare, utilities, energy, materials, industrials, and we're looking at discretionary, tech, and financials. Be careful, be safe, be a little bit bullish above 3,400, a little bit bearish beneath. In fact, maybe quite a bit bearish beneath. Always be careful and be safe. This is Corey Rosenblum with tonight's Theo video update for October 20th, 2020.